Hello everyone, lovely to see you here on my tiny little YouTube channel. After about a 2-year break, I've decided I'm going to give it another go. And this time, don't just do flip through, but actually give you a series of small tutorials. Something that I've been asked for so much over the years. So what I thought I'd do is a little series of how I create a journal page, starting really simple, and then in the follow-up with some different videos, landing up with some fun additions like this, flaps, little embellishments to put inside. You get the idea. My hope is that this will be interesting for people that are good at journaling, but also for newcomers. So, without more ado, let's get started. Let's begin with a little introduction as to the kind of materials that you need. There's no way that you need all of them. There's no way that you need these particular ones. You use what you have. This is in a way also about really using your stash and using your stuff. So let me quickly talk you through what I've got on my desk here. I have picked out 3 colors of inks. Those of you who know me a little bit know that I tend to work vintage style. So hey-ho, I've picked out browns. In order to do some stenciling, which is always very much part of my journal pages, you'll need some of these little tools, and you need one of these, because I mean you can certainly do stenciling with these blending tools, but I think it actually works much better with these makeup brushes, which you can get anywhere really pretty cheaply these days. So I highly recommend, if you want to do stenciling anywhere, be it a card or a journal page, get a bunch of these for different colors. As I tend to work in browns, I'm using the brown ones. And then finally, some stamping ink. I'm using archival ink, but there is a number of inks that you could use. You can even quite easily use your distress inks. It's just when you go more towards mixed media and add anything liquid, then of course these will bleed, as most of you will be aware. Right, and then finally a collection of stamps. For most of my journal pages, I have a selection of bigger and smaller text stamps. But again, there is no must about this. Any stamp will do. So let's get started. Well, I forgot to mention, it's pretty obvious, you need some paper to make your journal pages with. So I've opted to use some coffee stained paper because it fits the journal I'm working on anyway. The size is also quite small, again, so that it will fit in the journal that I'm working on. All of that is completely immaterial for the technique, as it will again be obvious to most of you. So let's be a bit more precise about the colors I'm using. I'm going to start with gathered twigs. I know most creators that do vintage style stuff tend to distress their pages with vintage photo. I'm just not a lover of vintage photo. I find it too orangey. So I tend to use gathered twigs. But like always, you do you. And use whatever color works for you. I always start with sort of distressing the edges before I actually start on the stenciling. So off we go. I'm probably going to speed this up, as you really don't need to see me distressing the edges. So we'll see how we go. most of you will be totally familiar with this, and everybody probably has their own sort of technique. I tend to use domed brushes, which have slightly different way of using them than the flat ones. And I find what works best for me to get a smooth edge is to make small circular, movements, whatever you would say. Yeah, I tend to leave the inside sort of quite light, so I blend towards the inside. Time for some stenciling. I'm going to do some layered stenciling, and I'm going to use 2 different colors for that. So I'm going to start with this one of my favorites. Honestly, I own hundreds of stencils, but I keep coming back, particularly for my journals, for these Tim Holtz layering stencils, as they're called. And this happens to be my all-time favorite. Why? I can't tell you. It's just like that. So again, starting from the outside, slowly move in, darker towards the outside, lighter towards the inside. I think that just works best to blend it all together. And what we do on the one side, I always like to echo on the other side. You can put it this way up or that way up. Make sure you don't get straight edges, because that just spoils your composition. So I would say that's probably stage 1 of the stenciling. Still quite light, so it gives us lots of options to add more to it. Now I've decided for my second layer, I'm going to use this texting. As you can see, it's well used, it's very dirty. I don't tend to clean them all the time, but of course you could if you're fussy, but I'm not. So this time I'm going to take a darker color. Let me close this one, always important, so that it doesn't dry out. I need to tell myself. As this is a text one, obviously you need to be clear that you put it the right way up. And yeah, that's about it. Again, the other thing is avoid straight edges. They don't look good. I don't bother changing my blending brush for the different browns. Doesn't seem to matter. But I do start again on the outside, pressing quite hard, and then lightening it towards the middle. Can you see? I think that looks pretty nice already. So again, let's echo it over on this side. Again, avoid straight edges and lighten as you go towards the middle. Done. Anything else? You know, this particular stencil has this lovely number there, which I always like. So I think I'm just going to put that there, just for a little fun bit of composition. No rhyme or reason to it, really. There you go. See, now we've got a little accent already. But now we're going to take it a little bit further, and we're going to do some stamping. And because I'm not intending to use any wet media on this, I'm just going to use Distress ink. And I found that the new color called Scorched Timber is actually brilliant for stamping in a slightly darker brown. I'm not even using a stampable, what do you call it, block, an acrylic block. You know, I'm not trying to do precise stamping. When we go further along in this little series, we'll do more precise stamping, and I'll show you different tricks with that. But for this one, just going to keep it really simple. I'm not interested in a clear impression. just put your stamp in. It kind of sticks to your fingers. Let me make sure I get it the right way up. And where will I put it? I'll put it here. See, worked perfectly. And you know, on this side, I might actually put the same stamp that way. There you go. The first beginning of a stenciled journal page. There's loads of follow-up steps we can do, but for today's episode, I'm going to leave it at here. At this short, sweet, hopefully, and I hope you like it. If you're new to creating journal pages, maybe it's given you some hints as to what to do. Thank you for coming to visit. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like these little things. And if you have any wishes for other things you would like to see, let me know in the comments below. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.